Imagine a situation whereby your wife is a nurse and leaves you going for night shift. Then around 1 a.m. you are phoned by the police. You can hear your wife crying in the background hysterically. You get so concerned. What's happening? What's going on? What's wrong with my wife? Is she okay? And then the police tell you that you are the next of kin of, we'll call her Susan. You are the next of kin of Susan. Susan has had an incident here. She was having sexual relations with her patient and the patient has died. Can you come and collect your wife? Can you imagine an incident like that, guys? Bizarre, isn't it? What is up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of This is Bizarre, where I share with you some bizarre incidences which have occurred here in UK and they continue to occur on a daily basis in the medical profession. Doesn't matter whether you're a nurse or you're a doctor or you're a healthcare assistant, I'm going to be sharing these incidences with you, and there's always a thing or two to be learned from these incidences. Some of these incidences we do them knowingly and some of them we do them unknowingly. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Pauline Popomoyo, and this is the channel where we keep things real. And in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you one bizarre incident where a nurse breached one of the fundamental tenets of the profession by having an intimate relationship with a patient, and the result was a disaster. So without wasting any of your time, let's get into it.
Hey, I'm a savage.
I always prefer using pseudonyms. So Susan was working in the renal unit, and Mr. John was a regular client who would come to the renal unit for dialysis. For those of you who don't know what dialysis is a procedure to remove waste products and excess fluids from the blood when the kidneys stop working properly. It often involves diverting blood to a machine to be cleaned. So this basically means an individual's kidneys will no longer be functioning, and the function of the kidney is to clean the blood and also remove excess fluid. So they use a machine to clean the blood. So dialysis is an important procedure, guys, and it's often done on a weekly basis, at least 3 times a week, depending on the function of the kidneys. Some do it 2 times, some do it 3 times. If you don't do it, it means toxins will accumulate in the body and it will eventually lead to death. So because Mr. Jones was a regular client, one way or the other, I don't know whether they exchanged numbers or whatever, they ended up having an intimate relationship. And apparently this relationship went on for a long time, which means Mr. Jones and Susan were meeting on a regular basis, doing whatever they were doing, and no one knew about it. But on this particular day, Mr. Jones phoned Susan, and as usual, Susan went to see Mr. Jones, and they were seated at the back of Mr. Jones' car in a car park. So while he's seated at the back seat of Mr. Jones' car, they started having cheeky, guys. Like, they started having cheeky, you know, they had the forbidden fruit. During the process of having the forbidden fruit, Mr. Jones, while his pants down, suffered a cardiac arrest and he died. So can you imagine what was going through Susan's mind at that particular point in time? 1, you are a married woman. 2, Mr. Jones is your client, is one of the patients in the hospital who comes on a weekly basis to the hospital. 3, you know very well as a nurse that you're not supposed to cross that boundary, and once you cross that boundary, you can lose your job as a nurse. You are a married woman, and if your husband discovers that you were cheating, this could be the end of your relationship. Because at times, guys, when people cheat, they cheat for fun. Some people just cheat for fun, just to get an adventure. Even if they love their husbands and they love their wives, they cheat for adventure, and they'll be expecting that they will not get caught, so that they continue with their relationship with their husbands, as well as have an affair with other people by the side. Now you are having an affair with a patient, and the patient is at the back seat of your car and is pants down and has died. What could you have done in such a situation, guys? Because what this nurse did is what cost her her job. So obviously, because she knew that whatever she was doing was wrong, she panicked. I mean, can you try and picture yourself in such a situation, guys, where you are on top of this man and this man has died? You quickly pull up your pants and get dressed and everything, but you cannot pull up his pants and everything because he's seated in the car and everything, and now he is dead. Dead. Ideally, if a patient goes into a cardiac arrest, you see that they are not breathing, there's no heartbeat and all, the first thing that you need to do is to commence CPR while he's calling for help. Like, you commence CPR while he's calling for an ambulance, or you commence CPR and ask someone to call for an ambulance, because the first few minutes are very crucial when someone goes into a cardiac arrest. The more the delay, the lesser the chances of that individual surviving. So instead of this nurse calling for an ambulance and calling for backup, she phoned a friend. And she was hysterical, talking to her friend. Oh, this is what has happened. What should I do? The friend told her, stop panicking. Phone 99, commence CPR. She did not phone for an ambulance. She did not start any CPR. She was just hysterical, crying there. I'm sure part of it was because of the guilt. She's having a relationship with a patient and she's married at the same time, and the patient has died, and that's not a very easy situation to find yourself in. So this nurse did not call for an ambulance until her friend had to drive from wherever she was driving from to go to this particular car park. I'm sure she said, come, I'm at Tesco car park. It wasn't Tesco car park, but I'm just giving an example. So the friend drove from wherever to Tesco car park, and when she got there, looked at the backseat of the car. The man was obviously blue. The man was pants down, no heartbeat, nothing. So the friend is the one who called for help, called 999 and commenced cardiopulmonary resuscitation. But because cardiopulmonary resuscitation is very crucial in the first few minutes there, because you know that after 6 minutes, oxygenation to the brain becomes reduced and everything. If the brain goes for 6 minutes without oxygenation, it can die. Even if you have to resuscitate the patient can be brain dead. Time had already lapsed, so the CPR was not successful, and the man was pronounced dead at the scene. And the diagnosis was heart failure and chronic kidney disease triggered by a medical episode, which means the medical episode was this jiggy that they were having at the backseat of the car. Because you know, guys, that if you're having jiggy, a lot of things are happening in your body there. You know, that excitement during jiggy, the adrenaline, the heart beating fast and so forth. At times, for someone with a cardiac condition, it can actually put a lot of pressure in the heart. And worse off, this is someone who had chronic kidney disease. We don't know whether his time was near or whatever, but this nurse was eventually struck off the register. So guys, this nurse was called for disciplinary. First, she said the client had messaged her from Facebook and told her he wasn't feeling well and had gone to see the client. I mean, if he wasn't feeling well, as your nurse, you're not even supposed to call him because you're not a doctor. What are you going to do for him? You're supposed to tell him to go to the hospital if he wasn't feeling well, for starters. Eventually, she confessed and said they were having a relationship with this patient for 1 full year until the fateful day, guys. So the nurse was struck off the register. You let me know what to think of the sentence. I'll let you know the sentence after this. She was struck off, 1, because she did not report to her employers that she was having a relationship with a patient. 2, she brought the profession to disrepute. 3, that is not professional anyway. So her sentence was 18 months. She was struck off the register for 18 months, which means she cannot practice for 18 months. But after 18 months, she can reapply and she can go back to working as a nurse. So what do you think of her sentence, guys? Let me know in the comment section. 18 months of not practicing, then after 18 months you go back to the register, or you reapply and you can go back to the register after doing whatever, return to work, whatever things that you're supposed to do to get back to the NMC register. And guys, there are valuable lessons to be learned in this situation. Number one is that if you are a nurse, you have a duty of care. Another reason she was struck off the register was because she failed to call for an ambulance when she recognized that Mr. Jones had gone into a cardiac arrest. The fact that she did not phone for an ambulance is one of the major reasons why she was struck off the register. It means she did not do her duties as a nurse, because as a nurse, regardless of where you are, whether you're in the streets, whether you are wherever you are, if you are a nurse and you see that the patient has had a cardiac arrest, you as a nurse, you cannot turn away and walk away, because you have a duty of care, you have duty to the public. No, we always talk that the nurse has got a duty to the public. So even if it's a situation which happens in public, outside the hospital premises, the fact that you are a nurse, you have to execute your duties as long as it is within your scope of practice. And it is within the nurse's scope of practice to start CPR. It is within the nurse's scope of practice to call 999 in a medical emergency. So if you are a nurse, if you are a healthcare professional, even if you're a care assistant, whatever, as long as you've been trained in CPR, you cannot see someone even outside hospital premises and ignore that individual. You have to take action. The second lesson is that, guys, cheaters never prosper. If you are someone who is cheating, guys, I don't know what happened to being faithful. If you are not faithful to your partner, it has got a way of catching up with you, guys. If you're an individual and you're cheating and you're thinking you're clever, you'll never get caught. Here is a perfect example. This woman was a married woman, or she had a partner, or whatever it is. She left home, went and had the romp with this man. She never expected that while she was on top of the man was going to have a cardiac arrest, and the next thing, the police are coming, the man is pants down and all that. The man has died. Guys, you never know when such an incident can occur, because that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be unwell for you to have a cardiac arrest or whatever. Sometimes we're walking here and we don't know whether we are healthy or not. I'm sure you have heard of incidences where someone just collapses and dies. They were okay today and then the next day they collapse. So sometimes you can be cheating, thinking that you never get caught, and you have an unfortunate incident like this one, guys. So if you are cheating, I'm talking to you. You cheater, I'm talking to you. One way or the other, you are going to get caught. If you are not happy enough with your relationship, your current relationship, number one step that you have to take is to talk with your partner, communicate with your partner. I'm not happy with ABCD. And if it's adventure that you want, talk to your partner. I need us to be adventurous. Let us spice up our relationship. Let us bring handcuffs. Let us bring whips. Let us bring dildos. Let's spice up our relationship. Let's make it interesting than for you to go and cheat. And if you're not happy enough with the relationship, you're not happy enough with spicing it up, you're just not happy, leave the person in peace. Leave the person in peace so that the person finds someone who's going to love and appreciate them, while at least you move on and have your relationship with whosoever that you want to have a relationship with, but not with patients in the hospital. Lesson number 3, guys, if you are in the medical field, do not fall in love with your patients. There is a law. I'll leave the link in the description box. If you suspect that someone is having a relationship with a patient, you have to report that person. that person has to be reported. There's a protocol that you need to follow. The link is going to be in the description box so that you know the steps that you need to follow if you suspect that someone is having a relationship with a client. This article that I'll leave in the description box will explain to you in detail why you should not cross that boundary between nurse and patient. Even after the patient has left the hospital and is not going to come back to the hospital, at times the way they feel about you, or if they say they love you, whatever, could be influenced by the way you treated them while they were in hospital. And it's not acceptable because it was a nurse-patient relationship which triggered the interest in you. Maybe if there wasn't that nurse-patient relationship, the patient wasn't going to be influenced to fall in love with you. So guys, I tend to talk too much. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this incident, and let me know if there's anything that you learned from this incident. Just drop it in the comment section so that we also learn from each other, guys, so that we help each other to become better professionals, better nurses, better doctors, better healthcare assistants, and so forth and so on. So guys, this was the first episode of This Is Bizarre. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, I'll be bringing you more episodes. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye.